You need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you. You need to know what to do with that dough.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Need to Know Pod. I'm your host, Chef Sahera, and today I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that would be the food that we eat and all these different additives and preservatives, and why the FDA here in the United States, the good old United States of America, why some of the additives that are allowed here in the US are banned in other countries. So that's what I want to talk about today. Some of the foods that we have in our cabinets, that we find in our supermarkets, maybe we shouldn't be eating these things. So let's get into it. So let me first talk about what prompted me to do this episode. How in Europe, their food safety is a lot different, and how some of the things that they don't allow, we allow. So that got me to thinking and really exploring some of the additives that are in our food. So as you know, if you didn't know, I am such a strong advocate for baking from scratch or just making my own food because I am a food safety fanatic. So you really never know how people prepare their foods. That's one thing. You really never know how people prepare their food. But also, we got to start looking into what we are consuming, right? Anytime I see a cake, if you go to like a Costco's or a BJ's or one of these big box stores, the cakes have so many ingredients. And when I speak of cakes, I'm talking about the cakes you can order for a birthday cake or a birthday party or something like that. And I started calling these cakes paragraph cakes because there's a paragraph of ingredients. Typically, a cake is made with some butter, some sugar, some eggs, some flour, some flavoring, and I guess maybe like a liquid, milk or water, what have you. But there's so many ingredients, so many additives and preservatives in our food that aren't healthy. I know specifically some of the things that are in these foods, like they use on brake fluid. I forget the name of it, but yeah, I know some of these. I just know that some of the foods aren't good for us. Some of the things that they put in these foods can be detrimental to our health. As of January 15th, I believe it is January 15th, the FDA has announced that they are banning the red number 3, the red number 3. So that's what prompted me to really that's just one of the things. And I know that in California, they had banned this back in 2023. At least in the schools they did. I know for sure, but I know they officially banned the red color. But I remember hearing a story that they banned, I think it's the Cheetos, the hot Cheetos and Skittles, that they don't sell this in the schools. Like you can have access to it, but the kids couldn't have it in the school. So the Food and Drug Administration, again the FDA, announced a ban on synthetic coloring red number 3, also referred to as red 3 or FD, FCNC red 3, and FD&C red number 3. So as you know, this is the red food coloring, which got me to thinking, when I had my shop, one of my top sellers was my red velvet cake. And clearly, right, we need the red food coloring to make that red color. So I would say for like my 9-inch cake, I use about 3 tablespoons of it. Go figure, whatever that turns out to be. And actually, that's not one of my favorite cakes, but people bought it, and this is how it was prepared. So here in the US, like I said, we're allowed to use it. So I was using it, not even thinking that the red number 3 wasn't good for us or any of these dyes, truth be told. Yeah, I won't offer that, even though I don't offer my cakes anyway, but yeah. So there's that. So, right. So this red food coloring is also responsible for many of the foods and drinks and even some medicines. So the FDA first banned the dye, which has been linked to cancer in lab rats only and possibly to behavioral issues. So this is why I know in California, they say that it's associated with ADHD, right? Some behavior issues in children from use in cosmetics and topical medications. The dye is also currently banned from use in foods in the European Union, New Zealand, and Australia. This red number 3 has been primarily used in certain food products such as candies, cakes, and cupcakes, your frozen desserts, your frostings. So I would gather anything that looks like it has an unnatural red color, right? But while you have some time, so you will see some of these products on the shelf. Any food manufacturers who currently use red number 3 will have until January 15th, 2027. So they're giving you 2 years to reformulate their products, while drug manufacturers will have an additional year. This means for the time being, these products with the banned ingredient will still be in circulation, right? That's interesting in itself. So I know we don't want y'all to have it. So I guess they can't just take it off the shelf. So it gives people time to, reformulate it. But what are they going to use? I know in terms of red food coloring, sometimes people will use beets to get that red food coloring. But I just know that that's going to alter the taste. But nonetheless, there's that. So just to give you an idea of some of the items that contain this red food coloring. So again, you have like these cake and cupcake mixes. I don't use box cakes, but for those who do use box cakes, you have those confetti cakes. They have that red dye. The Pillsbury Funfetti strawberry cake and cupcake mix with candy bits. They use that. The chocolate and yellow cake versions also have it. Many others use red 40, which is another synthetic food dye. So I actually know that McCormick food coloring uses red 40 as well as number 3. So it says red 40 and red number 3. So like what's the difference? I don't know, but okay. Good humor is on that list. So your strawberry shortcake ice cream bar. Certain Ensure flavors have that use that red number 3. And again, certain candies, they say the candy corn uses it, even though a lot of people don't eat it. But anyway, that's on the list as well. So I just wanted to let you know about that. So that is the recent news that the FDA has banned the use of the red number 3. So let's talk about why some foods are banned in some countries, but not here, right? The FDA sets guidelines here in the US, but in Europe, it's the European Food Safety Authority. These agencies sometimes come to different conclusions about what's safe based on their research and policies. In some countries, there's a emphasis on natural or minimally processed ingredients, while in others, I would think like here in the US, convenience and cost can take priority. So if it's cheaper to make something by using an ingredient, the hell with it. And I wanted to go over these things because you'd be surprised. I think I take for granted that because I'm in this culinary world and I'm into food safety, I realize everyone is not. And one reason I wanted to do this episode is to bring awareness to what we're putting in our system. And actually, as the new administration comes in, they may even do away with the FDA and there may not be as many restrictions. If they're allowing us to eat whatever now, there won't be as much oversight over the FDA. Let's just say that there won't be as much oversight. The one thing that we allow in our foods that some countries do not is brominated vegetable oil or BVO. You find this in our flavored sodas like Mountain Dew. I've never had a Mountain Dew, but yeah. I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I know it's not something I would drink. But Mountain Dew is definitely something that is banned in other countries. So it's banned in the European Union and Japan because it contains that bromine, which can build up in your body and cause issues like memory loss or skin irritation. Meanwhile, here in the US, it's still allowed in small amounts. So are you willing to take that chance with this brominated vegetable oil? The FDA recently proposed a ban on BVO. Again, that's the brominated vegetable oil. And this is because BVO may affect the thyroid, a gland in your neck that helps regulate your metabolism and other hormones. Already, companies like Pepsi have taken steps to completely remove this additive from their products. So, Mountain Dew, of course, Mountain Dew is the citrus flavored soft drink. It's popular across the US, but it contains that brominated vegetable oil. It's an emulsifier that has been banned in Japan and the European Union and is also used in flame retardants, right? That's interesting. And its presence in food has been linked to health issues like memory loss and nerve damage. That's what they're allowing us to ingest. So as much as I love my coffee, Coffee Mate Actually, I don't use Coffee Mate. I used to use the creamer, and I know a lot of people use the creamer, but Coffee Mate particularly is a common coffee creamer, contains trans fats. So they say not the powdered sugar doesn't have as much, but the Coffee Mate itself, the liquid, the dairy product has that trans fats in there. Despite the US banning trans fats in 2018, I actually remember that. Countries like Switzerland, Austria, and Hungary have imposed strict limits on trans fats, making Coffee Mate unwelcome slash banned. Some cereals that are banned in other countries, as I was looking up doing my research for this episode, I was surprised to find that Frosted Flakes, Honey Bunches of Oats, and Rice Krispies are some of the cereals that are banned. Now, I've purchased Frosted Flakes and Rice Krispies like recently. So they say these breakfast cereals contain, I'm going to try to pronounce this, butylated, butylated, hydroxy whatever it's called. First of all, I should be able to pronounce what I'm eating. But the acronym or the initials for it is BHT, and that is a flavor enhancer that has raised concerns over its potential carcinogenic properties. Although the evidence is inconclusive, Japan and the European Union have opted to ban BHT from their food products. So again, even though it's inconclusive, America goes by what they call GRAS, which is generally recognized as safe. So they allow you to use things until you prove that it isn't. Whereas these other countries are saying, we're not taking a chance. America is willing to take that chance. Again, it's called GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Until you prove it's not safe, they saying we rocking with it. So that's that. Then we have titanium dioxide. So titanium dioxide is a chemical that is commonly added in American foods, but many people do not recognize the name because it usually is hidden on nutrition labels. Terms like artificial color or added color may mislead you into consuming titanium dioxide without even realizing it. So, some foods that contain the titanium dioxide can include candy, chewing gum, sweets, cottage cheese, cake icing, soups, sauces, alcoholic beverages, and other processed food. So, titanium dioxide is also banned in the European Union, and there's some research connecting titanium dioxide to health effects such as lung cancer. However, some additional research is needed to determine this relationship more. You still can find products in the US and in Canada, but in 2023, California took matters into its own hands and banned Skittles for its use of titanium dioxide and other food additives. California plays no games. They have very strict I guess laws regarding your food. But what I do know is, and I think I've mentioned it here before, in California, everyone who will be serving food has to have a food handler's license or certificate. I teach food safety classes, and California has a very separate test. I can give everybody the same test, but for California. And in California, the employer has to pay for them to get trained. If you hire somebody, they have 30 days to be trained in food safety. So yeah, California plays no games. California is also the state that wouldn't allow my client to sell her baked goods if it had that cream cheese frosting on it at like markets or flea markets or wherever. I guess if she was selling it outside someplace. But that is something that she could not have. So California is pretty serious when it comes to food safety. A lot of countries ban the food dyes, and again, like going back to the red number 3, you also see like the yellow. Food dyes are used to make food look more appealing and bright. There are some natural food dyes available, but many ultra processed foods use synthetic food dyes. These include foods like candy, instant pasta, pretzels, and fruit drinks. According to the FDA, the use of artificial food coloring has increased over 5 times since the 1950s. The European Union has not officially banned artificial food dyes, but it does require them to be labeled on all packaging. Some countries have completely banned artificial food dyes, but most just make companies label their dyes. But I find in here in the US, the dyes are on there. But how often are we willing to turn that package over and look to see what we are using? And this is why I am so passionate about baking from scratch. Everything in moderation, but I can control the ingredients that I put in my food. Sugar, flour, again, eggs, some kind of flavoring, like, and I don't buy like imitation vanilla, use vanilla extract. All of my baking is from scratch. I try to do most of my fillings from scratch, even something as simple as a strawberry filling or a lemon curd. For the most part, my stuff is from scratch. And this is what I try to teach people on how to bake, because there's going to come a time when, again, we don't know what kind of restrictions or oversight that the FDA will have, hell, or the USDA, you know? So I think it's important to have an idea on what to bake. And once you learn how to bake, it becomes so much easier. And I just feel like, as much as I like a sweet, I feel better about eating something that was made from scratch as opposed to all of these chemicals, the additives and preservatives. And of course they use them so they can be have a shelf life. Yeah, I'm not willing to do that anymore. But if you go to like a Costco's or something, look at a cake, look at all the ingredients, and I call them a paragraph cake. So I'm not saying that I don't eat certain things. Like I love an Oreo, and Oreo made it on one of these lists. Like maybe it has trans fats or something, but I do love an Oreo. I'm not interested in learning how to make an Oreo, but the things that I can make, I can make chocolate chip cookies. For the most part, there's not too much that I don't make, or don't know how to make. But the stuff that I know how to make that I like to eat, it's better for you. It's better for you, and it's gonna taste better. Imagine, I'm somebody who counts calories to a certain extent. I rather, if I'm gonna consume calories in a dessert, at least I want to consume good calories. I don't want to consume calories and it doesn't even taste as good. So just something to think about. I definitely am a strong advocate for baking from scratch. So something else that I noticed is that this is banned in other countries, but it's recombinant somatotropin. Go figure. And that is RBST. It's a hormone used in cows to increase milk supply. Many dairy based products like milk, yogurt, cheese, and ice cream may contain RBST. While it is currently allowed in the US, some US based companies like Ben and Jerry's oppose the use of RBST in their products. Europe and Canada have both banned RBST. Most research shows that this RBST has little effect on human health, but it may cause health issues in the dairy cows. And I'm getting this information from Good RX. Good RX is where I'm getting this information. But I've done research, so I know like certain additives, definitely like that titanium. That titanium dioxide is definitely banned. That brominated vegetable oil is definitely banned. And just a good way to identify ingredients on your food labels. If you're interested in looking to reduce the exposure to these food additives, the best place is to begin with your food label, right? Nutrition labels hold a large amount of information from the calories to the sodium content and more. Before, I never used to look at ingredients, but even something as, even though it's not banned, of course, but sometimes you want to look at the amount of sodium in your food. I used to love corned beef hash. When I tell you it is loaded in sodium, and sometimes when you see it for yourself, will have you making a different decision. As much as I love it, I think maybe I have it like once a year if I'm out, maybe like at IHOP, and I'll order it. But I know it's loaded with sodium. I used to always keep cans of it in my house, so I won't buy it anymore because basically it's no good for you. It's no good for you. So let's talk about some solutions and how you can make healthier choices to avoid these certain ingredients. So first, I would always suggest that you read the labels. If you see ingredients like BVO or artificial dyes or potassium bromate, consider looking for alternatives. Secondly, you can go organic when you can. organic certification in the US prohibits a lot of these additives. For brands that prioritize clean ingredients, there are plenty of companies out there that avoid these controversial additives. Also, like I said, make food at home. It's easy, even though it may take a few extra minutes to prepare some things from scratch. But once you do it, I promise you, it tastes better. There's so many videos out there that show you how to cook if you're not familiar with cooking. I used to drink diet soda all the time because I'd rather eat my calories than drink them. But I even stopped that. So I drink water and coffee. I will say that I use Splenda. I know that it's not good for me, but full transparency. So I am trying to wean myself off of Splenda. I know that, that's not good for me. But I stopped the diet soda. I used to drink diet soda all the time. But even if just preparing a drink, you can make iced tea from scratch. And that's easy enough. I used to sell that in the shop. Fresh brewed iced tea, or my mother-in-law used to always make a great lemonade. So just some options if you want to, get a flavored tea or something like that. But I do consume a lot of water. What do you think about this, guys? So let me know what you think about these additives. Are you surprised that so many things are on a list? Pillsbury Grand Biscuits. I know when I went to go visit my girlfriend, she had this in her house. I used to eat Grand Biscuits all the time. We kept them in the house. When they would be on sale, we would buy the different varieties, especially when my kids were smaller. But once you learn how to make biscuits, I should say, once you learn how to make biscuits from scratch, there's no comparison. And once you start eating freshly baked products or goods, or even just cooking, I don't want to just limit it to baking, you will taste the difference in your food. So when I eat a Grand's biscuit, now it tastes so funny to me. Something that I used to make my kids all the time was brownies. This is before I knew how to bake, but we would make brownies, and we loved them. We loved them, and that was definitely a staple. Getting some kind of brownie mix, and I had a client ask me to make. She wanted like a brownie cake, and I kept telling her like, I don't really make that, but she was insistent. She didn't care if I used the box, so I bought a box, and when I tasted that brownie mix, I couldn't believe this is what I was eating. It had no flavor. It actually tastes horrible. Once you are so used to eating from scratch, you will definitely be able to taste the difference. So I want to give you a quick update on, right, again, food safety and the Boar's Head debacle that they had, that whole listeria outbreak. So the USDA came out with a report on their findings. Their facility closed in Virginia because of the conditions that they had, disgusting conditions, mind you. But it came to, in this report, they found that two other facilities were equally as disgusting. It wasn't closed down, but equally as disgusting. And, like like Wendy Williams would say, how dare you? And I just think it's so crazy that they were able to exist. And in this report, they have like all of these, what they're going to do now and to combat against listeria. And really, I just feel like it's so crazy that they were allowed to exist. And reading that report, I feel like they were more so trying to cover their behind. But, you know, is there a fine or something for Boar's Head? Or, I know there's definitely a lawsuit, and last I checked, when I last reported, I should say, when I last reported, 9 people had passed. And now it's up to 10 people. Is up to 10 people who have passed from consuming Boar's Head product. When I think of food safety, there's no way I would ever eat Boar's Head again. Everybody do what they want. Me in particular, I'm never buying Boar's Head again, because also I feel like you just don't prioritize the safety of your consumers. There's no way in the world you can have a facility not just a little dirty or unsanitary, right? But like disgusting. And one of the things that they said, I'll just read that really quickly, how there was like dried food on the meat cutter from like the day before, peeling paint, just mold, blood on the floor. So yeah, no thanks. What does Randy Jackson say? That's a no for me, dog. So yeah, there's no way I'm ever eating Boar's Head again. And we used to always have it, but there's definitely other brands out there. Those deli meats, or what we call ready to eat meats, are processed foods. If I do a baked chicken, you eat your chicken. What do you do with the chicken that's left over? Make a chicken sandwich. My husband lately, he's been buying different cuts of meat and making like roast beef or some kind of meat. He's been testing out his smoker lately, so he's always making some kind of meat, trying out different seasonings, and I'd rather eat that than the processed meats that I buy in the store. And that's it for today's episode of Need to Know Pod. I hope this gave you some food for thought, right? Pun definitely intended. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with anyone who loves food as much as we do, right? As always, guys, thanks for listening. I'll catch you in my next episode.
You need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you. You need to know what to do with that dough. Let the chef show you.